Howdy, folks. Short story time. This one will be fairly quick. So, the little town where I grew up, Golson, Texas, is absolutely tiny. It's just a small farming community. And when I grew up there, when I went to school there, our school itself was absolutely tiny. This is the earliest Google image I could find of it. So when I went there, it was essentially 4 buildings. 2 buildings of classrooms, a gym, and a lunchroom. And that was it. That was all. And we were surrounded by farmland. You can see in that top northwest or northeast quadrant, we have a big section of forest in front of us. And in the southwest quadrant, we have an open field. And for most of the year, that was a peanut field. And when they weren't growing peanuts in it, it was just a sand field. And when I try to describe how I grew up and where I grew up to my friends, I think a lot of them think I grew up in an episode of Hee Haw. Now, the school itself only went up to 8th grade, and there were so few of us that we stayed in the same classroom with the same teacher at the same desks all day long. And we did that for 8 years. And there were only about 17 kids per grade. And so you got to know each other way, way too well. So it was a little weird, especially as we got older and we started going through puberty and hitting those really awkward ages. You couldn't hide from anyone, and you couldn't hide what was going on with you. And so for a little nerdy kid, it was a very weird place to grow up. And before anyone starts making fun of my hair, that hair was awesome, man. I went to the barbershop and I just told them, give me the Corey Feldman from Lost Boys look. And they did. Look how awesome that is. So growing up, especially again during those awkward years leading up to puberty, it was just a really weird time. I mean, look at me here with the class. There I am on the very edge. What a weird kid. What am I doing? I've got no idea. So this is in 7th grade. And again, 7th grade is that weird time. You're starting transition. You're not a kid anymore, but you're not an adult. It's that weird age. And I remember one day I was sitting at my desk, and again, we had these big desks, not those little tiny things with just a little thing where you write, but an actual full-size desk with drawers and stuff, because we didn't change classrooms. And our teacher, Miss Ash, was at the front of the classroom lecturing. Totally quiet in the classroom other than Miss Ash writing on the board and talking. And as she was talking, I remember I was flipping my pen around, doing one of these things, and it got away from me and it fell on the ground. So I reached down as quickly as I could to pick it up, and I reached down a little bit too fast, and as I went down, a little fart squeezed out. I'm not proud of it. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just one of those things. Moved too quickly, snuck right out. And I immediately could tell everyone heard it. And it was one of those things where in my head, I immediately knew this is going to be ammunition to make fun of me for a whole year. If I'm lucky, a whole year. Otherwise, it's going to stick with me the rest of the time I'm here at Golson. People were starting to laugh. I could hear people starting to make fun. And Miss Ash spun around, and bless her heart, she could see in my face how petrified I was. I know I was just sitting there at my desk, eyes wide, just listening to people begin to make fun of me. And she spun around, and she put a stop to it immediately. She stopped the class, and she said, "No, that is a normal reaction. It's a normal thing. Everybody's bodies do that. Yours do. Mine does. Stop it. Leave it alone. It's perfectly normal." And she was so authoritative about it. That's what I loved about her as a teacher. She just took over and she made me feel at ease, and everyone actually stopped laughing. And as she realized that everybody was calmed down, she turned around and she continued on with her lecture. And the class went back to like it was. And I sat there with my face in my hands, just so thankful that she had given me permission. And so I gritted and I squeezed the rest of that fart out as loud as I possibly could, and it rattled on that plastic chair, and everyone bust out laughing, and it was amazing. And she sent me to the office for disrupting the class. And it was a great, great day. What can I say? Never give a kid permission to fart in the classroom. I think that is the lesson that should be learned from this story. All right, take care of each other.